Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
There we go.
Oh. Yay. Good morning. We have a few more people joining us. Good morning. Okay. So as we're signing in, if you want to check your audio, you can all hear. Good. Good morning. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Okay. Well, welcome to whatever week we're on, week 6. Thank you for joining us this morning and at all of the meetings. A lot has happened since our last phone call or since our last video meeting with the governor's order, new order. How's everybody doing? Yeah? Yeah. I see Rachel's kind of, How are your colleagues doing? Make sure I have everybody. Has the order changed anything in terms of what you're doing or what you're thinking about? No? Oh, Karen, yes.
Um, just realizing that working from home is going to be more of a real thing than a novelty and trying to we're setting up Zoom meetings for small task groups for getting different things done. And it also has changed, I shouldn't say changed, but punctuated some of our decisions regarding summer reading program. And we're in the process. I see you're going to be talking about other things, so I'll let someone else go.
Anyone else want to respond?
I see there's some things in the chat.
Thank you. What do we have in the chat? Okay. Oh, there we go. So curbside pickups. Subject requests in Verona. There's a youth services person. I think I've been in a couple of meetings since Thursday, and this is what we're all trying to figure out is, what does staffing look like in our libraries? What does this type of service look like right now? And all of these things that we're trying to figure out. Karen, you started to say that you were thinking about some ways the ways that this will address or affect the summer library program. Do you want to continue on with that?
Well, we did decide to go with Beanstack. It wasn't a 100% vote on it from all of the staff that were deciding, but we just did decide to go with it. So that has changed because before that, we were going to still start our summer reading program on June 1st online. It was going to be, no in-house events. But now with Beanstack, we don't know when it's going to start. So June 15th sounds like possibly the start date. And we don't know if that means June 15th is when Beanstack is ready. And then we need to do our other 30% of setup after that. So we're going to just have, we think, 3 different bingo games. So we started one April 19th for National Library Week, like a lot of libraries are doing. And then we're going to have 2 more. So the bingo games will fill in all the empty time in May and June for when we don't have summer reading programs started. And then we meet about program. We meet today about curbside pickup this afternoon, and then tomorrow afternoon we meet about programming this summer. I keep thinking about what Lynn at Sun Prairie is saying, that they are nixing everything, and I'm really leaning toward that. But I haven't been able to get far enough along to figure out if all of my currently contracted performers are agreeing to do something virtually.
Thanks, Karen. Does that resonate with others about nixing, changing? Yeah. Yep, Beth Hayes is shaking her head. Let me check on others. Are there any other hands raised? So, do we want to talk about Beanstack? Are there any
I have a
questions?
question. I do, on
Okay.
curb pickup. In our small village, children can walk to the library to get their things. So do they need permission from parents? I mean,
That's a good question.
it's just a block away. Some of it's right next door. And if they want their books, like their mother goes online or their parent goes online, says walk to the library, they're in. We've already scheduled a pickup time, 2 o'clock for them to come. But is this something that everybody, I guess, I don't know.
What would you do if the library was open?
What's that, Carolyn?
What would you do if the building was open? Do you require a parent there then?
No.
Why would it be different?
I don't know. It shouldn't be.
Let's see. Karen, did you have?
I have a question.
Okay, I want to go. It looks like Christy had a question too. Did we, Christy from Spring Green?
I had a very specific question that is Spring Green related. So because it's a small library, everybody does surprise things. Like at Verona, it'll just be the staff, but I have to somehow train all of the staff, and a lot of them are very technology nervous. And so I'm wondering if there's going to be some specific guidelines from SCLS to help me get them the information that they need so that they can be successful and less nervous.
You know, I'm counting on DPI to help me out with that. I haven't, I don't know, you guys know more about Beanstack than I do. And I know that you probably don't know that much either. That is something that I'll be talking to Tessa about, and we'll make sure that there are, you know, instructions, guidelines. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, there will be. I just have no idea what that's going to be yet, but I think that there has to be. And that's something that I can help out.
That would be fantastic, because
Oh.
boy, oh boy, when we presented it at our meeting, they were just like, I was like, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna
Yeah.
be fine, we'll walk you through it. But the more comfortable they are, the better trained they are, the better we are.
Okay.
So I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Christy.
I have a
MJ. Yep.
Yes. I think my director meant this. If we were to have a youth program and we wanted to do it through Zoom, would the children need parents' permission?
Rachel.
So the DeForest Library is doing a lot of Zoom programs, and all we're requiring for the youth to participate, or at least I'm doing this with the teens, I ask them on our website in the event description, email me and I will email you the link. And I know that Emily is doing that with a few programs for the elementary age. So we are just asking that you email us and we'll email you the link. So that's the way we're doing it.
Thank you.
Karen.
So I'm not sure what topic we're on.
We're all figuring it out right now.
Okay. I noticed that in your agenda, curbside service was early on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I just put some ideas up there for us to talk. I want us to be able to address what's on our minds. So
I have a question about curbside service, since we're going to be deciding about that this afternoon. I'm wondering if anybody who has their plan already and like the details of the plan, if you already have that, if you'd be willing to share it.
In Marshfield, we've been kind of using the guidelines that the Hennepin Public Library in Minneapolis is using, because we're starting on Friday, and so everybody has to do their holds online. They can call in, and we'll put their holds in through the computer. But once they get their notification, whether it's email or phone call, then they have to set up a pickup time. Now, the benefit we have in Marshfield is we have a drive-up window, which is nice. I know that most of you probably do not have a drive-up window. But the one thing that we're doing, and what we've been debating is that we're pushing the checkout dates to like July 1st. So that's a long period of time for them to keep their materials out. So that's kind of what we're doing at this point.
So my other question is, do you have limited hours for curbside service, or are you going back to your normal hours and trying to staff that?
Well, right now, we're going, starting Friday, we're going to do curbside hours from 9 to 6. We're going to do that Monday through Friday. And then Saturday, 9 to 5. And then Sunday, 1 to 5. So we're always going to have a supervisor in the building, and we're going to have a couple of CERC staff that are going to take care of the holds.
That's a lot of hours. I was not expecting to have that many hours available.
We're going to see it. We're going to test it out for a week because our director believes that we're going to have a big demand. I think for the first week we will, but depending upon if there's still a big demand after the first week, we'll have to find out, and we may adjust our hours accordingly after that.
How are you having people determine their time? Are they emailing you? Are they calling in to set up a time?
Yes, they're calling in. Or emailing us, and then we're giving them like an hour window to pick up their stuff. Because our concern is we don't want a whole big line of cars in our parking lot picking up stuff. And we're also putting up signs in our parking lot so people don't come from two different directions. So we're looking at it kind of logistically what would work best. And then after a week, we'll see how it goes.
Those are the kinds of details that I was looking for. Yeah, like signs to direct traffic, the fact that holds are an hour long rather than a 10-minute thing. So I appreciate that.
Hi, Catherine. I see your hand raised.
Thanks. I'd like to go back to MJ's question about parental permission for kids to pick things up. Because we too have a lot of neighborhood people and neighborhood kids who come. And I do think it's a different situation than normal, different than kids being able to come to the library alone because they're potentially, there's the risk of exposure. So does anybody have any more things in place, any more securities in place with parental permissions for kids?
No, I guess my question is, are they presenting, anybody who comes, whether kids or adults, presenting a library card to pick up or ID?
I know this is something that which group was I in yesterday? The Dane County library directors talked about this yesterday, Karen. So Ryan might have some thoughts about that since you're in Dane County, about what you need to present. What my understanding was when those directors, and I know it's just one county of directors talking about that, but the idea was we shouldn't ask people for an ID. That was Madison Public Library's thought, that we're not going to ask anybody for a separate ID to pick up their materials. But the question did come up yesterday, and it wasn't only about children. Oh, hey, Carrie Priest, I'll see you. Was about just walk-up service, walk-up pickup, because there are so many people, adults too, who just walk up to pick up materials. And Carrie Priest, I'd see that your hand was raised. What do you guys? Yeah.
I don't know that we've actually come together with any plan yet. We were kind of waiting to see what other places came up with. And we like to share or steal. So, but some of the things that I've been thinking about, and I haven't actually, talked about this with any of my colleagues, but I think we're going to go either one way or the other. We're going to either go to the point where they just come and pick up a bag with their stuff in it, or we go, and I thought maybe, if we decide that we need to have some sort of idea of who's picking things up and we're going to take them out to them. What our idea was is that they would call us when they get there, because we don't have a drive-up window. So we would have to have them park in the parking lot and just call when they're there. And what we could do is just have them give us the last 4 digits of their library card number. And then we would just have items waiting by those last 4 digits. Then just kind of matches them up. That's one way of maybe doing it.
That's a great idea. The directors yesterday talked about what they've learned from going to pick up food at restaurants, and that they would describe their car. I have a purple Saturn, and then the materials would be brought to that car. That was one of the ideas. Yeah.
So we didn't really answer Catherine's question.
We haven't.
Maybe we don't have an answer, Catherine.
I know one thing we talked about, my director, since it's just my director and myself that work at the small library, and our library is in the basement. So nobody's allowed into our space since it's still locked up. So we're going to have a cart setting up in a little tiny lobby area. And we thought they would call in for their holds. We're going to give them maybe a 20-minute pickup time. And if the weather is good, we'll put the cart outside with a little cart with wheels, put their books in a bag on that cart, and within that span that they can come and pick it up, unless they would want us to walk that bag and put it into their back of their vehicle. But things would be checked out then at that time when we put things on that cart. So they would call in, with their holds. We say, yes, it's ready to come, pick it up at 2 o'clock, between 2 and 2:20. And again, this is all depending if the weather is good, because the cart's going to be sitting outside the church. And we're working in the basement, so we'll be bringing it up and then Katie, the director, said too, we're going to kind of listen to see what other people think too. I mean, we know our patrons pretty well. I mean, it's just the 2 of us. The village is small. So other than our rural people that come.
Karen.
The idea of the children, I understand the increased risk of exposure. If children are coming, then most likely they're on foot or on bikes. If they're driving, they're over 16 years old. So handing them the bag and having them ride away or walk away, is it more or less exposure than walking up to someone's car and handing it in? Kids under 8 are not allowed in the library under normal policy. So I would think that kids under 8 would not be allowed to pick up holds. Yeah, I don't know. We haven't thought about all that yet.
I know that the Dane County Public Health Department is working with Dane County libraries to create an FAQ about proper glove use and proper mask use, and she's working on it right now, and that is something that we can definitely share out with everybody. That was a question that came up too, just about general, should we be wearing masks when we do this? Yes, we should. Should we be wearing gloves? And those are all things that we should be doing in addition to doing it right. doing it properly. And I started looking a little bit last night for a YouTube video actually for kids about how to wear a mask, how to do proper glove wearing. I didn't find anything, but if any of you know of a resource where we could share that out, I think that would be helpful too. I know every time I wear my mask, I wear it wrong. I'm always, pulling at the fabric part when I shouldn't be. So uh, if I'm not doing it right, well, I don't know, maybe kids will do it right, and I'm the only one who disobeys the mask wearing rules. But, there are other considerations too. I'd like to go back to a few questions that I saw in the chat. And I think Carrie Kipp, you maybe answered one of the questions, but there was the question about what about people who come to our libraries from other communities? Is that, that was a question that came up yesterday too. And the idea was, if people come to our libraries from other communities to check out materials, we're going to treat them just like any other patron. That was one of the comments from yesterday. If they know what they want, if they've requested something, that, and as a library system member, I think that's how we would interact. Okay. So I think we do have some directors on the meeting with us. I want to put a shout out for, there's a director meeting, is it tomorrow? Raina, are you not yet? There's a meeting for directors where they will be specifically talking about these questions. I'll send that information out. So if you're interested, you can log into that meeting, where there probably will be a whole lot more communication about this. But just to let you know that your directors are, I know, thinking about this too, to be supportive of our directors. And going back to, what does the policy already say about children under 8 being in the library, for example? I think that was really great advice, Karen. Okay. So stay tuned about curbside. We'll share out any information that we have. I actually was wondering, and I think we brought it up at the end of last week's meeting, that in the weeks to come, perhaps I'll find somebody from one of our county's public health departments to be on the line with us. So if any of you are connected to your public health departments in your counties, let me know, and maybe we can have somebody from one of our counties answer questions for us live. All right, I'm going to make sure that there aren't any other hands. Yep, go ahead.
I said thank you. Sorry.
Oh, nope. Okay. I feel very clumsy. I want to make sure that I'm seeing everybody and looking at everybody's hands. Okay. So last week we ended with a conversation about story walks, and we thought that that might be a very specific and maybe a topic that we would be discussing today, this week. Over the weekend, Christy from Spring Green and Verona sent me a few, there she is. I think you're representing Spring Green today. Yeah, sent me a few links to Facebook Underground posts about what other people are doing for story walks. But I just want to open up the conversation to those of you who have done story walks in your communities. If you want to describe your program, and those of you who have questions, we can send those questions out there right now too. And I have a playful kitten in the background, so excuse any noise that is bleeding over. Hey, Tammy. Oh, you're muted, Tammy. If you want to check, yep, check to make sure. Look on your screen. You can unmute yourself, or I can unmute. I might be able to unmute you here too. Let's see. Yeah, we still can't hear you. All right, I think, here, let me see if I can unmute. Oh. Yeah, we don't. Okay, try it now. No. Oh. I'm going to try to unmute you.
Can you hear me?
Yay.
Yeah, just barely.
Sorry, it looked like I was unmuting myself, but so last year we're in the small community of Pittsville, and last year we did a story walk in the middle of July, and we did it in our community park, and I used like political signs or like what you would see for campaigning as the signboards, and we set them up throughout the park, and the kids just walked with their families from, you know what a story walk is, and then at the end we actually had our local ice cream truck there, and the kids really, really loved it. So it was one of the things I really wanted to do last summer, and it was probably my favorite event, and it was very well received by families. And so I'm really wanting to do it again. And actually Deb did our storyboards for us. They were laminated, and it was like the perfect size because the kids could read them really well. Adults had to stoop down a little bit, but it was really good size for the kids. And then we actually ended up using it again at one of our summer library program. We just set them up around the library building, and kids went from signboard or page to page and read it that way too. So we did get a couple of uses out of it. So am I going to be muted again?
Karen.
So we have 3 or 4 different story walks, and I didn't want to try and have individual boards for each story walk. So we bought bulk foam core boards, and we buy 2 paperback copies of the book that we're going to put up. We take the books apart, we laminate the pages, we create a generic opening page that tells what this is and gives all the permission and all the copyright information about the program and who there's required language to use to promote the story walk. That if you're using story walk, that you use this language. And then on the foam core board, we put Velcro, and then on the backs of the laminated pages, we put Velcro. So we only have to use the foam core board one time for all of the story walks. So we can change our story walk every week and have different ones. And those are, the foam core board is on those wire stands that you can see. They're like H-shaped wire stands. And so we stick them in the ground. I sent pictures to you, Sean, of our story walk. You should have got an email with pictures. I also purchased from Dick Blick, I purchased paint stands, tripods that you can put paint canvases on. So we can use our story walks indoors as well. It works great. And we're going to make more of them so that we can change them frequently during the summer. I can send pictures if anybody, Karen@mononalibrary.org if you want pictures.
I would like pictures.
Send me an email, otherwise I will not remember. Karen@mononalibrary.org.
And Karen, I'll look for those pictures and put them in the notes for today's meeting too.
You can also share your screen, Sean, if you ever wanted to show people
Oh,
something.
yeah. I'm not going to mess around with that today because I'm
No, but-
barely online the way it is.
Oh, okay.
But yep.
I saw hands.
Yeah, I did too. I saw Carolyn.
Where do you find the exact language, Karen? You talked about exact language for
I think
the,
I sent that in an email to Shauna as well.
Yeah,
And
and
I think maybe Spring Green did too.
yep, Christy sent me some information. It's in the meeting notes for today's or it's in the agenda for today's meeting, and I'll make sure it's in the meeting notes too. Catherine, I saw your hand raised.
You just answered my question.
Okay, okay.
Good.
I like the idea of using the story walk of the materials in different areas and different places, inside, outside. I know at an outreach event, I think Karen, you sent story walk with Amy for an outreach event that I did. So that was that was really cool too.
And that's the one where we used those paint tripods because they have turf, not grass. They have fake grass.
Yeah,
whatever that's called.
right. That's right. MJ, did you have your hand raised? No. Okay.
They are time consuming to make. We have a staff person who does once a month STEAM programs at our library. And so since she hasn't been able to do those, she has some hours built up. And so that's going to be one of the ways that I can use some of her hours that she's built up, is having her help me make story walks. But the initial process, the way we do it, the initial process takes the longest amount of time, but then because we make them all the same, it goes a little faster after that.
And I know I mentioned last week, but Deb Hafner at South Central can help you out with that. Any other questions about story walks? Or examples of how you've done it? If you want to send me pictures, I can share them out or connect with each other. That's fine. Any way that I can help make those connections happen, I'm happy to. I always make our notes completely shareable. So as a Google document, you can go in and add information to. So if you have pictures, you could do it that way as well. Okay, I'm going to check, make sure we have everybody. Okay. The other topic that I put in the agenda is something that you probably saw, but Sync Audio, which is a summer program where a bunch of audiobook publishers come together every year. And the end of April through the end of July, once a week, 2 audiobooks will be released. One is a young adult book and one is an adult book on similar topics. These books will be released for free download. That begins next week. And so I will send that information out too. The audiobooks are always the ones that would be available for purchase for your collection. So they're really high production value. And some libraries have done a little bit of programming around those audiobooks. I was thinking this year might be an especially good year to publicize that this is available. It's completely free, and I will send more information out about that and look to see if there are some examples of publicity and marketing that you can use for those books. It's a pretty sweet program. Hey, Jody, did you have a question? Oh, nope. Okay. Anything about that? All right.
Wow.
Are you looking at the titles?
The chats. Melissa said she has Facebook posts ready to go.
Melissa. So we will all start following your Facebook page.
Wow. That's impressive. She deserves applause.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Are there any other topics that you would like to talk about today? Seeing if there's any hands raised. Oh, hi, Julie.
Hi. So I know a lot of you have already reached out to your summer performers about whether they want to postpone or do something live stream. And I was just curious how that is working out for you. I've had one performer suggest that they have a pre-recorded video from a long ago show that then I would pay them to show. And I'm trying to figure out how to work that out, especially financially. Like, it's not clearly the same as a regular program. So I don't think we should pay as much. And she's asking how much we would pay for that. So that's one question. And I guess just more overall, how is that going for you in terms of doing your summer performers that you've already booked, basically? Karen?
For it, Karen.
So I'm not the definitive answer on this, but I've had a few emails, as many of you have, from other performers. Some of them are saying that they're expecting their contracted fee for a virtual program. One of them said that he would do it for 75% of his contracted fee. And his reasoning was that he doesn't have to travel. And so his time and his gas mileage and all of that should be cut out of his fee. I thought that was super reasonable. And whoever hired me for storytelling, I have 5 or 6 storytelling jobs, which I'm going to try and figure out how to do too. And that's one way that I was thinking about doing it, was cutting any part of my fee out that would have been travel related. So, you know, it should cost less to do a virtual program, unless the library wants me to still come to the library and perform for no audience, which one library wants me to do so far. So there's a variety of ways to do it. The person who said that she wanted her normal fee also said that she would let us show it as often as we want to.
Okay.
So we weren't required to only show it on the day that she was contracted. We could show it unlimited number of times.
Yeah, I would like to work that into the arrangements, that we can keep it up for more than just that live stream. At least it doesn't have to be forever.
New contracts that, like, we've never had contracts before.
Right. And our current ones really don't address this at all.
No. that might be a cool thing, Sean, to help us with.
You read my mind. I was thinking, excuse me, especially for future programs, for future contracts, like if it is a virtual program, how many times?
I have a contract, not a contract, a permission form when we do performances, usually Telebration in November, and our local community media comes over and they record the performance. So we have that type of a, I don't know if it's not a contract so much as a permission for, and they sometimes they'll give us unlimited permission to show it. And sometimes they'll say, you can show it however many times you want for the next 2 weeks.
So if you have examples of that language in a contract, Karen, maybe that's something that if you could send it to me, we can start to, or if anybody has language that reflects what a virtual program or what a recorded program would entail, that's something that you can send to me. We can share it out. Because we don't know how long we'll need to be doing virtual programs and virtual performances, so it might help us beyond the summer.
I will see if it's somewhere in my email. Otherwise, if it's on my computer at work, I can't.
Right. And I can talk to Mark and others too. Catherine, I saw your hand raised.
Yeah, I'd like to know where is everybody planning to show their virtual programs? Facebook or via their website or YouTube channels? What's your platform that you plan to use?
I think the two platforms that Katie and I will be using is our library page and then Facebook.
So your library Facebook page, do you mean, or your library website?
Library website,
okay,
for sure, because that will be where they'll have, if we need permission slips for certain things or whatever, it'll be on our library website. But also, we know a lot of our patrons do have liked us on Facebook, and we're forever showing pictures, things that we've done throughout the week. And so we stay in touch with them through that as well. So those are going to be the two main ones for us.
Got it.
Carrie Priest.
Our library is actually doing a live stream concert this Thursday. And we are doing that through Facebook. It was between Facebook and YouTube, and I'm not sure if the accidentals were more comfortable with a Facebook. So I sometimes I think it's somewhat up to your performer as to what they're more comfortable with or more equipped to deal with. And I know Miller and Mike, and they're good friends with Jeff McMullen. So they have a very similar protocol for the summer. And I know they're both willing to, well, I haven't read all of Miller and Mike's, but Jeff McMullen is planning on giving you rights to the video up until it was like the end of the year or something. He said, you can use this as many times as you want. But anyway, we are using Facebook for our concert on Thursday.
Julie.
One of the performers I'm working with is Nikki Finn. He's a magician based out of Madison. And he's been really flexible, so I thought I would throw it out there that he is kind of revamping his magic show to be partly tricks and partly showing kids tricks. And he's going to charge $300 for a live stream at your location, though, because he doesn't have the space. So that's an option if you're looking to add something. It seems like he's working on something that should work pretty well.
We have Nikki Finn already scheduled, actually. So
yeah.
That's good to know.
Our problem partly is that we're going to use our community room as our quarantine area, which means that I don't have a good place to film him now if the building is open later this summer. So I'm trying to figure that out. I think I'm just going to postpone him till later in the summer.
Do you have a community media station or city hall or something?
Well, I already checked and we can't use City Hall apparently. So the only other option would be the cable station, yeah.
Julie, what about outside?
I've thought of that. I'm a little afraid of drawing a crowd. And then the weather aspect too.
Yeah.
But that did occur to me too. Or maybe it occurred to me after you guys all said it last time.
Hey, Karen. Yep.
So I attended a practice storytelling concert with Don White. I don't know if you guys know who he is. If you don't, look him up. Anyway, he has been practicing with smaller to medium to larger crowds about how to do Zoom concerts, because some people really, their performance is really enhanced by audience participation. And so what he's been doing, and I'm going to be talking to him about this more, but what he's been doing is at the beginning of the concert, he very clearly in very specific language tells the audience that if they are in a really quiet space, if they're in a closed room where they know no dog is going to go through, no train is going to go past their window, no airplane is going to shake the house, if they're in a quiet space, they can raise their hand and be unmuted. And so he has a person, in addition to himself, who is taking care of the chats and the raising of hands for muting and unmuting. So the person who does the unmuting unmutes about 15 people and watches carefully. And if he sees them like pick up the phone and start talking, he mutes them. And so he was able to have an audience that he could react to their laughter and he could react to their clapping. And I was surprised for me at how much it made a difference for me as an audience person to be able to enjoy hearing the audience that he had, even though I was on mute, just because I have grandkids and dogs in the house. It worked really well.
And who was that, Karen?
Don White. He's a storyteller. You can find him on Facebook or I'll send you a link.
Okay, thank you. Have any of you talked to specific performers about, have any of you just out and out postponed your programs until later in the year?
Not yet.
Christy?
Not that far yet.
Christy's postponed?
Yeah, so we had Incredible Bets. I'm getting emails now. We had Incredible Bets set for the beginning of June. And the wife of that team is actually a school librarian. So like she knows exactly what's going on in the world. They're more than happy to postpone until later this fall. They said they had a lot of people cancel. So they were more than happy to do whatever that we could to get them in. And then because we had a lot of programs planned around that, like building bat houses with Boys and Girl Scouts and all of that. So all of that's been postponed. Contacted Who's Woods Raptors, and she's also willing to postpone. Both of them weren't super excited about doing virtual, and I think it's because they bring the animals with them. Yeah. I haven't talked to Noelle yet from Zoozort. We have them at the end of July, and I'm really hoping we can do that. We do 2 shows anyway, so the second show is usually a little smaller, so we can spread out the chairs and just encourage people to come to the second show and really limit our numbers. But I'm really hoping we don't have to cancel or postpone her, because I think we'd have to do it way, way later in the year because there's only so many non-school days.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we are thinking if we do non-school days, if we do weekends or nights or something, it will limit how many people can come, but it'll also make it available for everybody. Because one of the shows was going to be at the school, but it was in the summer, so everybody could go. And it was a way for us to collaborate with the school and also to be on the other side of town over in Spring Green. But if we do it now during school, then we miss out on all the kids that don't go to that school. So we want to make it fair. We want to make it accessible, but we also don't want to make it so accessible that like 300 people show up. So yeah, we're working on it. It's process. Might have to do registration actually, just to keep the numbers down. But they were very excited about postponing because then at least they get paid. And I know with the animals and everything, they really do need to. So.
Let's see, I'm going to check the chat. Thank you, Christy. What do we have here? Let's see, Jess. Jess says that her concern about postponing is that things aren't very clear about what the fall might be like. I know that's on all of our minds. Has anyone heard anything authoritative about what they're predicting for fall? We just don't know.
I've seen where they're expecting a second bump in, I think it's August or September.
Great.
So yeah, we're going to keep an eye on that. Like I said, we can definitely limit to registration only if we have to keep the numbers consistent, and that might be what we have to do. But we don't want to completely cancel on these people. A lot of people have already done that.
Yeah.
And our other problem with virtual is a lot of people don't have internet access. That's why they come to the library in Spring Green and Verona. And so trying to make certain that they have the opportunity to see it at all is really important for us.
Yeah, and that's something that's come up so many times in our conversations. What about people who don't have the internet? Putting that equity into the conversation. Yeah. Yes, Jess's fingers are crossed. Thank you. Karen points out that some people are afraid of Zoom because of the press releases. So anything that we're doing, we need to do a lot of messaging about safe and appropriate uses of Zoom. Any other question? Oh, Julie. Julie writes that, well, you can see it in the notes, the governor's bounce back plan put out yesterday outlines how group sizes might increase, but there's no timelines associated with it. Yeah, the one thing that the public health person said yesterday is that we really need to graduate out in the way that we've graduated in, which I thought was an interesting term. We started out with, first we had to be less than 50 people, then it went down to less than 20 and then less than 10. That's doing these slow and soft openings is what everybody's recommending. All right, are there any final questions? Cindy, did you have a question?
I just threw it out in chat, but maybe for some of those performances that people are coming in live still and you're thinking about doing registration to keep the numbers down, maybe working in with the performer to somehow do a recording of that so that it can be used later as well. Because if you're still paying them, maybe they can, and might help their reach later too.
Great idea. Thank you. Okay. Well, it's a few minutes after 11, so I'm going to recommend that Between now and next week at the same time we connect with each other, feel free to use Kids List or Teen Talk as ways to ask questions of each other. You can reach out directly to me or to anyone on this message, on this meeting today. I have recorded, and we will post this meeting a little bit later today, as well as the meeting notes. Next week, I'm hoping that we can have a conversation again about summer library programming, and maybe see if we can get somebody from public health to answer some questions, and hopefully we'll have something that we can share about our public health questions by then too. So if any of you have resources or know of resources or know of people, please let me know, and I can help make some of those connections happen too. All right, well, be well. Check out the directors meeting, which is happening tomorrow, I think, or is it later today? I'll send out the information, and stay well. Thank you, everybody.